Hey everyone, we're going over a pretty cool replay today where we'll be talking about how Faker playing Akali smashes another Korean pro player, Sun, playing LeBlanc. This matchup seems like it would come down to who has better mechanics, but Faker gets a lead through smart minion wave management and then extends his lead with his insane mechanics. With that being said, let's break down the matchup. Akali is an AP melee assassin versus LeBlanc, an AP ranged assassin. Since LeBlanc is ranged, she should have control of the lane early on, even though their wave clear is equal. They do equal damage in burst trades, with Akali winning extended trades if she can get multiple Qs off. The most important part of the matchup is the fact that LeBlanc uses mana and Akali doesn't. If Akali can out-sustain LeBlanc, it will force her to take a bad recall or overstay and die. Knowing this, let's make a game plan. Mission 1. Let the wave push. Just like in all the other melee versus ranged matchups, if we don't let the wave push to us early, we run the risk of allowing the enemy laner to freeze. Mission 2. Stay healthy. Since Akali doesn't have mana, all she needs to do is ensure that she isn't forced out of lane until LeBlanc runs out of mana, but this doesn't mean to avoid trading entirely. Mission 3. Play around big cooldowns. LeBlanc's main trading ability is her W, and it's super important to trade every time she uses it, since she has no escape when it's down. Okay, moving on to the gameplay. Before laning starts, Faker's team invades as 3 and a 3v3 breaks out in the enemy jungle. Faker ends up using flash and dying, and the rest of them fight for a while the enemy team eventually gets 3 kills and Faker's team gets 2. LeBlanc got one of those kills, but had to use both of her summoners for it. So LeBlanc is going to have a 300 gold lead on Faker now, but he still has a chance to level the playing field and actually get ahead, and here's why. Faker died really early in the fight, so he got back to lane without missing many minions. He gets back to lane just as LeBlanc starts recalling after the jungle fight. Faker needs to think about the best way to punish LeBlanc for this. He can either hard push the wave, or last hit. Which one do you think would deny LeBlanc the most CS? The correct play here is to last hit. If he tried to shove the wave, he wouldn't be able to do it fast enough to crash onto the tower before the next wave is here. This would essentially create a slow-pushed large wave for LeBlanc to collect when she got there. But if he last hits like this, he gives the enemy wave time to kill some of his own minions to deny LeBlanc. When LeBlanc finally shows up to lane, there is no big wave for her to collect and she is a whole level down. Anyways, the wave is pushing to LeBlanc here, which is actually really good even though our mission 1 is to allow the wave to push. Let's jump into sandbox mode to illustrate why. In an ordinary game where both players are in lane right away, if Akali tried to push like this, she would take a lot of auto damage at level 1 and some W damage. Then, when the wave pushed, the enemy LeBlanc would freeze, and since Akali was harassed so much, she wouldn't be able to break the freeze without risking death. But since Akali got to push without taking any harass, she has a big wave building up, so LeBlanc can't harass her, and then she'll also have to CS under tower. If we look at the CS after she's done clearing that, Faker has 18 and LeBlanc has just 6. After she's done clearing the wave, she tries to stop Faker's jungler from stealing her own jungler's blue, but Faker pings her right away and doesn't go to help. Faker knows he probably can't do much to help Kindred there, and I'm sure he knew that she would escape since LeBlanc doesn't have either summoner spell. So, LeBlanc is back in lane, and Faker is going to be working on mission 1 now. He doesn't want the wave pushed anymore since he doesn't have a big wave to protect him, so it's back to the standard game plan. While doing that, he also starts mission 2, not playing aggressively and using his Q if needed to grab CS that he would have to walk up too far for. After working on missions 1 and 2 for a while, our first real trade off the lane happens. LeBlanc goes for a Q and W onto Faker, so he uses his shroud right away and trades a little bit of damage back with his Q. Then, a fight breaks out in top jungle, so LeBlanc starts to move, but it was over before she got there and she comes back to mid. When she returns to the lane though, the wave is frozen pushing to Faker. This ties directly into mission 3 because now LeBlanc is going to want to break this freeze. She is going to need to use mana to do this, so if Faker can prevent it, she will eventually run out. Let's keep going and see what happens. A few seconds later, Faker's Thresh is looking for a gank in mid. Of course, there is no way that they could pull this off with LeBlanc having W, so Faker baits out her W by staying in range of her after she uses her Q. Unfortunately, she still ends up escaping. The wave is still frozen, and LeBlanc is out of Corrupting Potion charges now, so everything is going according to plan. Faker knows he doesn't need to play super aggressively since she'll be out of mana soon, so he goes back to how he was playing before with missions 1 and 2 in mind. LeBlanc uses Q on Faker, so he does the same thing as before and stays in range to bait out her W. He tries to get her with his E, but misses. Then, as she tries to collect these last few CS, he uses Shroud to go in. LeBlanc doesn't have her W and doesn't have any mana, so he runs her down, pops Ignite and Kindred Frozen Auto to help finish her. After killing her, he shoves the wave and recalls. So, after all of that, the CS count is Faker at 56 and LeBlanc at 29. And to show how much that really is, Faker has a total of 2,555 gold and LeBlanc has got 2,265. So he basically got a whole kill lead through pure CS. And as I've said before in other videos we've done on Faker, Faker snowballs gold leads harder than any other player I've watched. So before closing out the video, let's see what happens as soon as he gets back to lane. Faker goes to crash this wave into the tower, and LeBlanc W's in to trade. The only way Faker can kill LeBlanc right now is if she doesn't have her W, and he's aware of this, but she obviously doesn't. He lands his E and goes all in, playing it perfectly and diving her 100-0 to close the lane out. Okay, so let's do a recap. Before laning started, Faker fought in a 3v3 in the enemy top jungle where he died really early and blew his flash. LeBlanc got a kill but came to lane really late as a result, which gives Faker a whole level lead since he didn't push and just last hit while she was gone. He crashed a large wave into her tower to get a big CS lead, and then let the wave push back to him. As the wave pushed back, the wave was eventually frozen in front of Faker's tower. LeBlanc kept trying to break the freeze, but Faker wouldn't budge and used his Shroud to trade back. LeBlanc ran out of mana and greedily went to grab a few more CS, so Faker ran her down for his first kill. Then, after recalling and coming back to lane, Faker showed us what he can do with a gold lead and 100-0 LeBlanc under her tower to close the lane out. Okay, that's going to be it for this one.